Okay, I think I've got this going. We'll see how well this goes. Hi, I'm Taylor, and I enjoy the crossword puzzles and the Wordles every day, and the Connections puzzle is my personal favorite from New York Times Games. One of my favorite features of the Wordle is that it has a hard mode in which you have to use the clues you've been given to make your subsequent guesses. I've decided I would like something similar for the crossword, not the crossword, sorry, for the Connections puzzle. I enjoy playing it, but I would like a little more of a challenge. So here are the default rules you can see on my screen here, if you've never played the Connections puzzle before. What I'm going to do, and we'll see if I stick to a series here, is I'm going to attempt these with a harder set of rules that I've come up myself. And I emailed these to the creators of the game today. Not that I think they'll read it and take my advice, but I personally would love a hard mode, and this is what I've come up with. So the default rules, if you're not familiar, there will be four groups of 4 words. It'll look like this. This is today's, December 16th of 2023. And these words, there are categories, 4 categories among these words, to which 4 of these words belong. So 16 words total, you've got to group them into 4 groups of 4. And there's some sort of logical thought process behind this. It gives you some examples of categories you might group them into. So if the category was fish and you don't know the categories ahead of time, you might find the words bass, flounder, salmon, or trout. All 4 of those might be on there. And if you click them all, it would tell you guessed a category correctly. Now it also ranks the categories, the 4 categories, in terms of how difficult they are. So your most straightforward category is yellow, followed by green, blue, and then your trickiest is purple. I've just labeled, green and blue don't have a little label here, but I've labeled green moderately difficult and blue advanced. I'm keeping track of them in this little sticky note, and that's going to be part of our hard mode here. So normally you would guess these words by picking 4 of them, and I had kind of figured out what the categories were earlier before I did this. So this is just to show you the concept. We'll do it from scratch tomorrow. For instance, splash, bang, thud, and what was the other one? Plop. All of those are noises. All those are sounds. So I would usually hit submit, and it would tell me if I guessed them correctly or not. For the normal mode, you have 4 guesses that you can get wrong. If you get 4 wrong, then you lose. But 4 times you can try, and it'll tell you if you're 1 away, and so you can kind of eliminate things that way. For my proposed hard mode, you don't have 4 guesses. You have 1 guess, and your goal is to solve the whole puzzle. The way this would work is you would maybe have 4 colored buttons somewhere over here, and you click each button and you color 4 tiles with each one. And then when you're ready, you hit submit and you try the whole puzzle. And your goal is not only, if you caught that with the colors, not only to just guess the 4 groups, but to guess how difficult they are. So for instance, I'd need to put all 4 of the trickiest ones in a purple color in order to get it correct. And maybe you could have 4 guesses at solving the whole thing that way as well. Because some of these are meant to trick you. They're meant to be a little too similar and to possibly mess you up. And some days that is really successful. I've failed this puzzle before. Today's I think is pretty easy. Okay, so we're going to try that. We're going to try putting the 4 groups. I'll show you what I think the 4 groups are. We'll put the words down in the categories. The other thing that I'm proposing is that you have to guess the category. They're not always obvious. You might get to the last category and look at it, and maybe in the normal way you would have done 3 of them, submitted 3, and so all you have left are the last 4, so it's obvious. You know those 4 words belong to something. But you don't always know what the category is. Maybe it's the trickiest, maybe it's the simplest. Sometimes the simple ones evade me. But you might not know what the category is. In order to succeed at the hard mode, I'm proposing that you need to have the category close enough to their prescribed correct answer. Their prescribed intended category, maybe. It's the best way to put it. And you could use generative AI, one of these large language models like ChatGPT, or Bard, or Google's new one, what is it, Gemini, something like that. You could use one of those to check this. I'm reasonably certain that they would be able to say, okay, yeah, that's close enough to the category that somebody had prescribed. You could tune it and train it. So okay, without further ado, I'll show you what we're going for. We've got 4 groups, and maybe I'll write the groups down first. So we've got plop, bang, splash, and thud. And I'm currently going to say they're all sounds, right? Are they onomatopoeias? Splash, thud, plop. I'm not sure that it might be onomatopoeias. Not sure if I'm spelling that right. I'm an English teacher and I can't spell onomatopoeia. Oof. Yeah, I was off. Onomatopoeias, if you're not familiar, are words that sound the way that they're spelled, or spelled the way that they sound. Splash is on there in that little graphic. So okay, maybe that's what it is. But we've got a general idea for that one, right? And then the question would be, and we might do this as our last part of this. The question would be, is that the hardest, the trickiest, or is it the most straightforward? Who knows? So that's one. Another one we've got here is plot, ploy, trick, and ruse. I think all those go together. And those are all schemes, if you will. I think that's probably what I'll label them. I doubt they would go for a bigger word than schemes, something like that. But again, they might go for a different word. I mean, what could they say? They could say machinations, big fancy word. They could say plans. They could say cons. I don't know. Plot, ploy, trick, ruse. Trick and ruse definitely have that, and ploy even, have that connotation of maybe conning someone. So schemes, cons, right? That's where the generative AI would have to come in, right? Because I'm going to label it differently than you will. We just would come up with different categories, and we might both be right. We're onto the right thing. And we'll use our best judgment when playing here without a hard mode. So that's a second grouping there. Plow, rake, hoe, and sickle are all farming implements, farming tools. Plow, I'll do them in the order I'm seeing them here. Sickle, rake, hoe, all of these are farm tools, right? We could make the distinction that they're hand tools, right? As opposed to some of the more advanced implements we have today. Last one, and this is the last one that I figured out today as well. Delight, please, tickle. That's a tricky one in there. You can be tickled by something, delighted by something. And amuse, right? So you can tickle, amuse, please, delight. What to name this group? This is again, it's the last one I figured out today. Delight, amuse, tickle, please. Things a surprise can do. See, that's too complicated, right? That's not going to be close enough. I mean, surprise might just be the word. Well, but please. You wouldn't please someone. I mean, surprises can be pleasing. That's where it gets tricky. Please, amuse, tickle, delight. That's tricky. Because you can tell they're all related. They're all positive emotions or surprises to amuse someone, entertain. See, amuse and please. Like, please seems like the odd one out in this group of four, and oftentimes your hardest one will have one word that's like the odd one out, and you have to process of elimination to get it. So that's part of the challenge here. I don't know that this is our hardest one, though. I think people might really struggle with splash, plop, plow. No, sorry, splash, plop. What do we have? Thud, bang. I could just look at the list. I'm not doing that. I think people could struggle with that one. So this is hard to rank them too. Part of why it would be a hard mode. And obviously the categories aren't named after one of the four words. Otherwise, amuse would probably be a great word to label these, but it's one of the words, right? That's why it feels like a great one. I'm going to say like entertain or surprise. I'm not sure which it is, so we'll cheat a little and put 2 down. And I'm saying it lands somewhere in the middle there. It's a positive, not a positive interaction, not a positive emotion either. Man. Just a positive connotation. Who knows? Not sure. Okay, here's where we get trickier though. So we've got to label which group we think these go into. Maybe I'll make these a little bigger, and we'll put them. So I'm thinking that this grouping here might be our hardest, since I struggled to come up with what it was. But amuse and delight, tickle I think was hard, and please are hard. So I am going to put these in tricky. I'm going to say that they are the hard ones, because I do think it was pretty difficult to come up with that particular category. I'm going to say that plot, ploy, ruse, trick, those all seem pretty obvious to me. I'm going to say these onomatopoeias are the second most difficult. They strike me as being on the harder side there. I'm trying to figure out how I want to organize these as we go too. So I'm going to label them as our second most difficult. Schemes, cons, I would say these are maybe third most. I'm thinking that everybody knows, and I'm hoping this is true, I think that everyone knows farm tools. You know, that seems like the sort of thing that people can figure out. I also think like there's less lexical ambiguity in the terms sickle, for instance, or rake. I mean, both of those. There is another definition for rake, like rakish young man, right? This is an older term, and I guess technically there are two definitions for hoe as well. But I don't think that the New York Times crossword is really playing with that. I think they tend to be pretty classy, right? That's not the crossword connections puzzle. So okay, you've seen my thought process here. The harder part on this one, since I had already picked out all the words that go in the categories, that might be a longer part next time. But I won't explain all the rules to the hard mode next time. I'll just say refer to the first video, or I'll give a really quick, brief summary. The harder part was putting them into the categories. So now I guess we pick them in order. Maybe I'll see if I can scoot this over. By the way, originally I had, well, let's see, can I make this just a little more? Come on. There we go. Can I scoot the side too? There we go. Takes up most of the space. Satisfied with that. Originally I had ChatGPT open to help me figure out what size, what difficulties to rank the middle two, because I just couldn't come up with two words between that. I wanted to rename all of them, but then I was like, they've already got names for yellow and purple. I also was going to use it to judge whether or not our titles categories were correct, and I might still do that if I can't decide if I was close enough. We'll see. So that's what that tab's for. Okay, so plow, sickle, rake, and hoe. Thinking these are the easiest, we're hoping it comes up yellow. Yep, okay, we got that one right. Plot, ploy, trick, ruse. I could really see these second two being switched. Are there other definitions for plot, ploy, trick, and ruse? I've already locked them in this way, so this is how we're going to guess them. But I'm second guessing myself as we go here. Plot, ploy, ruse, trick. Here we go. Is it green? It is! Okay, I think I've got this. Unless the onomatopoeias are deemed more difficult, but I feel like they're a lot easier to pick out. That tickle and please really, I think, are hard ones. Okay, plop, bang, splash, thud. And again, when you see the way you would normally do this, maybe you found those first two. Now it's a lot easier to pick out which ones go together, because you've only got 8 options, and there are 2 groups. Which is nice if you're just getting started and used to this puzzle, but when you get more familiar with this puzzle, you want it to be a little more difficult. And I think not having your words eliminated keeps those crossing clues, the words that could go in several different categories, keeps them a little more difficult. That's not how I want to... Keeps them as obstacles, right? Prevents them from being easy to sort out, right? Keeps the difficulty there. Let's see. Oh, the onomatopoeias were the hard one, so I got this wrong. This one was actually our hard, right? Or not hard, it was our tricky. So we would have gotten this days wrong because we labeled them wrong. But oh, by the way, so far we've got farm tools, which is exactly what I wrote down. Schemes, scheme, so we're right there. Onomatopoeia, I put that in parentheses because I was like, their sounds, are they all onomatopoeias? They are. And our last one, let's see if this one to me was the hardest. Entertain or surprise. What is it going to label this? Make happy. See, that positive connotation, I guess, like tickle me pink. I think of tickle as like make someone laugh, right? That tickles me is more what comes to mind. Interesting. And then usually it would give you this kind of thing. Your goal, again, would be to get it in order. I guess you could guess from hardest to easiest as well. I tend to think of it that way. Not easiest to hardest, but I followed the little prescribed thing here from straightforward to tricky. So pretty good day, I would say, right? For the 188th connections. And that is my proposal for a hard mode for the connections puzzle. I think that would be a lot of fun to have to figure it out ahead of time. I guess while we're at it, let's ask ChatGPT. How should we phrase this? Let's see. Usually you've got to prime this thing. Let's see. I don't know that it would be familiar. You familiar with the connections puzzle that the New York Times does? I don't think it will be. Oh. Word associated game where solvers must find the common thread between seemingly unrelated words or phrases to challenge this line. Yeah, okay. Awesome. I was trying to predict the category for some of the words today, and I got it slightly wrong. I want to know whether you think I am close enough that my guess should count as correct. If I tell you the 4 words and the category that the puzzle claimed they belong to, and then tell you my guess, will you tell me if you think I was close enough? Absolutely, I'd be happy to help you with that. Please provide me with the 4 words, the category the puzzle claimed they belong to, and the guess for the category. I'll do my best to assess if your guess was close enough and considered correct. Okay. The 4 words are, we should put this in quotes to let it know. Tickle, amuse, please, delight. And the category that the New York Times labeled it as was it just to make happy or just make happy? Make happy. My guess for that category was entertain or surprise. Am I not? Prize. There you go. I don't know what I typed the first time. Was my guess close enough to count? Category of these words is indeed quite close to the category labeled by the New York Times. All these terms revolve around eliciting positive emotions or feelings of joy, amusement, or delight in some way. Entertain or surprise also encompasses actions or elements that bring joy, pleasure, or unexpected delight, which aligns well with the concept of making someone happy. While it's not an exact match, your guess certainly captures the essence of the words provided and the overall theme. In a word association game like this, where connections can sometimes be subjective, your interpretation seems plausible and close enough to the intended category. Look at how well that worked, right? I think this is a plausible way to play the game, a potential hard mode, and I'm quite satisfied with that. That was a fun one for today. I'll count it as a loss because I did get these backwards, right? I didn't guess which category it would label as hardest. That is also somewhat subjective, I guess. But I could see, especially with them labeling it onomatopoeias, that's like easier to me because, again, English major, I think about literary devices and poetic devices like that. So maybe that one sticks out to me a little more easily than, than connecting please and tickle to amuse and delight. That one for me was hard to make happy. So anyways, maybe I'll post some more of this. It won't be me rambling as much, but it will be me thinking through the connections puzzle. And of course, these will be, maybe I'll post them the day after the puzzle so that it's not spoilers. We'll see. But yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching.